So if you've commented on one of my videos recently, you should watch this one because in today's video, I'm gonna be responding to some of your comments. Hi everybody, my name is Zach. I am a photographer and arts administrator based in Santa Barbara, California. So I've gotten a lot of comments over the past couple of months since I started posting videos regularly. Some amazing comments, helpful comments, just nice comments, some like kind of mean ones as well. And I've learned so much from you, and I can only hope that my videos are providing the same sort of value that your feedback is providing to me, because it's been super valuable. And I just had the thought that, you know, a lot of these comments that I've been responding to might benefit other people, and so I wanted to create this sort of long form video where I can just pick out a few comments that stood out to me and talk about them in the video. So I hope that you find this valuable. Let's get in and let's hear what you guys had to say. GS says, currently shoot with Nikon with the Z6 II and Z6. Might sound a little crazy, but I'm thinking of trading in my Z6 for the X-Pro3 to use as a backup for work and a fun camera for personal stuff. I've never shot with two different camera systems for work, so I'm not sure how it would work, but I'm totally infatuated by the X-Pro3. I'm trying to convince myself that I can make it work. Am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. And I responded, I was like, no, you're not crazy. As I said before, the X-Pro3 is a really just sexy camera. It's awesome, like I totally get it. And I literally did the same thing. I had a Canon 5D Mark IV and a Canon EOS R, and I sold the 5D Mark IV in favor of the X-Pro3, which, you know, some would argue the 5D Mark IV is a better camera than the EOS R, but for me it was, you know, I just enjoyed using the EOS R more, and I wanted to move forward in mirrorless, and so I kept the EOS R and sold the Canon and bought the Fujifilm X-Pro3, and it's amazing. Having the X-Pro3 has made me want to shoot more. It's made me a better photographer, not because of the camera, but because of what the camera did for me, and I think that's hugely important. So no, you're not crazy. I totally get it. Nathan1874 says, great comparison. There may be one more benefit of getting full frame, which is the high ISO performance. Could you also comment on that? So this is in response to my Fujifilm versus Canon full frame versus APS-C video. And thank you. This is a great comment because I did not touch on the high ISO performance. I think, you know, what I responded was basically, yes, like the full frame camera is going to give you better performance in low light, better ISO performance. It just is, because of the sensor size. It's just a thing. But as I said in a recent video about bokeh with APS-C, it is not to say that APS-C sensors are bad in low light. They're in fact very good in low light, and when you shoot Fujifilm, there is a lot of dynamic range in those files. In those raw files, you can recover so much of the shadows. It's amazing, and it looks beautiful, and the ISO performance is good. It's not going to be stretched as much as it would on a full frame system like my EOS R6, for example, but it's still gonna be great. And like, honestly, the difference, like when you're gonna need that difference in a practical scenario, is gonna be really, you know, rare. Like, you're not gonna be in a situation where you shot everything on your Fujifilm camera and you're like, oh my god, if I only had full frame. I mean, maybe you will, and if you are in that position, yeah, it makes sense to upgrade to full frame, and there should be no shame in that. But I think people forget that the APS-C system is really amazing in low light, and that maybe full frame just has a little bit of an edge, but does it really matter for you in the work that you're doing? That's the question. Andrew Veal says, the trolls brand loyalty bashing shows ridiculously high levels of insecurity and major self-identity issues. Shoot with whatever you enjoy. Love your channel, man. Great tone and great images. This was in response to a video I made about YouTube haters, because I was getting someone commenting on my videos just basically bashing me because I was using Fujifilm. And thank you, Andrew, first of all. Like, it means so much to me that you would watch the channel and that you are enjoying the videos and that you took the time to tell me. It just really means a lot, so thank you. And I totally agree. You should shoot with what you enjoy. I know people like to say all the time, gear doesn't matter, gear doesn't matter, gear doesn't matter, but I think one part of gear that does matter is if you have gear that you like to shoot with, that you're excited to shoot with, it's gonna make you shoot more, and if you shoot more, you're gonna get better. So in that sense, the gear matters. I mean, in different senses, gear matters, but it's more about the process of shooting and making good, meaningful pictures. M. Renovatio says, you can chimp inside the viewfinder if you really need it. If you need a regular screen and can't shoot without it, buy another camera. This was in response to my X-Pro3 review where I talked about the screen. Now, I got some hate for this because, you know, the X-Pro3 has that folding screen. And I actually really like it. Like, I wasn't saying that I don't like it. All I was saying is sometimes if you're in a scenario where you're looking at the LCD screen, like for me, if you're like in a studio setting maybe, or if you just want to look at the screen, if you're in a scenario where you need to look at the screen, it gets kind of annoying to flip the thing back and forth. But for a majority of the time, you know how it works, and it's great, and you don't have to flip it. And the people were saying, you know, look in the viewfinder, don't fold the screen. It's like, looking in the viewfinder at the images, yeah, it works, but it's still not the same as just being able to flip through the back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yes, but does it solve the issue of it being kind of annoying to have to review images like this? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad feature. Like, people hate it, whatever. I don't hate it, I like it. Most of the time I'm shooting with the screen closed. I was just making a comment that if you're in a scenario where you're kind of flipping it, like, it can be a little bit annoying. That's all. Patrick Sweet says, Sweet, I hope that's how I pronounce it. If not, sorry. He says, every time I see a video from you show up, I get excited now. Thank you, that made my day. It made my day again right now. Thanks, that's really nice. X Motivation Fix says, was your older copy made in Japan? Newer copies are made in the Philippines, may have something to do with it. The 23mm f2 is a better lens than the X100F equivalent and comparable to the X100V. That may help you unravel the 23 mystery. This was in response to my 23mm versus 35mm Fujifilm f2 lens video. So I compared the 23 versus the 35 f2. Literally, I just said it and said it again. So I talk about in that comparison video that I had a Fujifilm 23mm f2 in 2018 when I had my X-Pro3, and I thought that lens was incredible and made some really fantastic images with it. And then eventually I sold that combination. And when I got back into Fujifilm, I bought the 23mm f2 again, and that lens is just not as good as I remember it. And I mentioned that in the video, and X Motivation Fix is basically saying it might be because of where the lens is being made now. It's not being made in the same way. I didn't know this, I don't know, didn't look into it, but thank you if that's true. That might be the reason why. It doesn't really help me with my lens issue, but all in all, like, it's a good lens. It's, you know, not as good as I remember it, but it's passable for now. Filthy Ben says, you know what, man, after I acquired my Canon C200 and sold my entire Fuji X-T3 system to purchase an EOS R, just for the sake of having one unified camera system with a body dedicated toward each photo and video. After using the EOS R for a while, I must admit I regret selling Fuji 100%. Something about that sensor was just so, dare I say the word, cinematic. So much more flattering on skin. Currently torn between X100V and X-Pro3 for a passion cam. Nice channel. Thank you so much. That's a really nice comment. I totally get this. I have this thought all the time, or I was having this thought a lot of the time after I bought my X-Pro3, where I was like, oh my God, should I buy only Fuji? Should I get a GFX? Should I sell all of my Canon gear? Like, what do? I don't want to be shooting with two systems. It's one of the reasons I sold my X-Pro2 to begin with, because I wanted to only be on Canon. It's a very attractive idea to only be on one camera system, but what I learned was that I enjoy shooting with the X-Pro3 because of what it is, and I enjoy shooting Canon because of what it is, and so I'm going to stick with both of them. And I have, you know, my small light lenses for my X-Pro that I can use as a personal camera, and I have my Canon glass that I can use for professional work at the opera, work with my clients. You know, if I want to have that really dreamy, really blurry background, beautiful look, I can shoot with Canon. If I don't need that, I can shoot with Fujifilm. And I think it's nice to have one camera dedicated to personal work, but honestly, you should use the camera you want to use when you want to use it because you want to use it. You know, I think it's nice to have like these sort of compartments to put things in, but I would still use my X-Pro3 for pro work, and I would still use my Canon for personal work. So I've come to look at it that way, and I'm like not as obsessed with the whole like one camera system thing, but I totally get it. It is such a real thing, And I understand, like, you know, missing the Fujifilm system, because that was me when I sold my X-Pro2. So yeah, torn between the X100V and the X-Pro3 for passion cam. Maybe get the X100V, like, that camera's awesome. If it was me, I would probably go with the X100V, even though I love the X-Pro3 so much, so I don't even know what I'm saying. R. Galfman says, these comparisons are really unfair. Can you do a comparison of 23mm f1.4 Fuji versus 35mm f1.4 Sony Canon, equivalent of 0.9 on Fuji, something not available? Then it would be interesting to see if you get more bokeh on full frame. Okay. This was in response to my X-Pro3 versus Canon, full frame versus APS-C. Yeah, so I said in that video why I was comparing those two lenses. I was comparing the 56 1.2 to the 50L lens on Canon, and I know that those are not equivalent focal lengths. I know. I said it in the video, and I'm saying it again now. Everything about them is sort of equivalent to me in my mind, and they're the two choices for that really dreamy type lens that I would use on either system, and that's why I compared them. So if you're saying it's not fair because of the focal length, fine. The point wasn't to see if I get more bokeh on full frame. Like, the point was to show that both of them produce similar style images, that APS-C also produces equally beautiful, interesting images as full frame. Like, that was the point. It wasn't like to compare like specifics. Yeah, sorry, I'm not that like technical in my videos. It's more about like, how does it feel to use this camera? What's the end result going to be? Like, I just want you to know that if you're shooting the APS-C, like, there's, you know, it's like a myth that you need full frame to get a beautiful image. You know what I mean? That's the point that I'm trying to get across. Don Lowell says, you gotta have to take the filter off when shooting against sunlight. This was in response to my EF 50mm 1.2 video. Thank you. I've had the 50L for a long time, for several years. A photographer told me that I should get a protective filter for it. I bought one from Canon, like a good filter, not a cheap filter, because you're putting it over your expensive lens. Don says, take the filter off if you don't want the weird flaring, slicing flaring. And I was like, oh, I just use the lens hood, like, it's fine, I don't need it, which is true. Like, the flare is fine, and if I use the lens hood, I don't get this weird slicing that sometimes happens with the lens. Literally, I took off the filter, and the flare is 100% more beautiful. And I'm like, come on. So yeah, thank you for teaching me that. Like, I don't know, like, you think that you're doing a good thing by buying an expensive filter to protect your lens, and in the end you're just like, not. So I've heard different things from various photographers. I'd really be curious to hear what you think about protective filters. People I've heard from recently say that they don't really use them on the lenses, so I haven't been using them on my lenses, and specifically the Canon 50mm 1.2, it has a really recessed front element, so I'm not so worried about scratching it or dropping it and breaking or whatever, so I think it's fine without a filter. Other lenses I might be a little bit more worried, but honestly, like, not having the filter has been so amazing. I don't know what I've been doing for however many years. Thank you, Don. Kenneth Williams says, don't sweat haters, keep up the not good but great work. Thanks, Kenneth, that's really nice. This was in response to my vlog, Canon R6 versus Fujifilm X-Pro3, and YouTube haters, thank you. That means a lot to me. I really, I was really grateful for all of those really, really kind comments on that video. I was surprised and just really blown away with such nice comments from you guys, so thank you for that. So the next comment is from none other than I Am Tongue. He is also a YouTuber, has a really great channel where he creates a lot of really great content and Fujifilm related videos, so check him out if you haven't already. But he says, hey man, I'm like you, where I get anxiety, and whenever people leave a comment, I think it's a hate comment. There are a lot of know-it-alls on the platform that would like to point out your flaws. I've learned to take everything with a grain of salt, as cliche as it sounds, it tends to work. I just laugh at them and have to remind myself, are the things they say valid? Yes. Maybe take it in consideration for future videos. No, keep moving. is the person leaving you hate comments have work art that's better than what you're able to produce? So some of the things they say might have some merit. Yes, then I would listen to them to an extent. No, keep it moving. I find this to work a lot for me, and it keeps me from beating myself up. People don't know how hard it is to put yourself out there on the internet for all the world to see. But anyways, keep up the great work, Zach. Thank you. Like, such a nice comment. Like, and so much like, so much truth. When I get a comment, I'm like, they hate it, they hate it, they hate it. And I go to my YouTube and I look, and it's like usually a nice comment, but sometimes it's not. And he's exactly right. Like, sometimes people are rude about it, but they can give you something that's helpful. And sometimes people are really nice about it and can also give you something that's helpful. So if you can get something valuable from someone, great, take it. But if they're just out there to hate on you just because they're upset about not being able to create what they want to create or not being able to do what they want to do, that's more of a reflection on them than it is on you. And I think it's really important for us to remember that the internet can be a really scary, dark place. So remember to just take what you can that's valuable from people, and if it's not valuable, if it's just hurtful, don't worry about it. Don't let it bother you, because it's just a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. So thank you for the comment, really appreciate it. This person said, OMG, empty blah. Does anybody know what that means? What are they trying to say? They're saying that my video is boring. Okay, watch something else. Funky Love Bunny says, glad I found the channel. I look forward to checking everything out. Fuji photography fan. Thank you. Thanks for commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it. Glad you found the channel. Welcome. Thomas Lefebvre says, great video. Why do you have an R6 and an R? Do you usually travel with these? I had the R because I had bought it as like a second camera with my 5D Mark IV, and since selling my 5D, I felt like I needed another Canon full-frame body just to have with me on really important shoots for the opera, or if I'm doing video work. So it's a secondary video. So, well, the R6 is my primary camera now. The R is a secondary camera now as a backup camera or a secondary video camera. Yeah, I think for what I do, I'm finding that I do need to have two camera bodies. And I'm loving the R6. I know I haven't been too vocal about the R6, but I've really been using it a lot lately, and it's fantastic, and I'm coming out with a video about it soon, so subscribe if you haven't. Hiro Sato says, classic negative and classic chrome are my favorites when shooting color, but my favorite of all time is APS-C, which I shoot with 99% of the time. Great video and photos as usual, and love the shots around SB. Thanks, Hiro. Appreciate the comments. Means a lot. Thank you. I really love classic neg and classic chrome when I'm shooting color, and most of the time I am shooting color. I have been exploring a little bit of black and white work with like the monochrome setting and the acro setting, and I really enjoy it, but I'm not as like drawn to it as I am to the more color film simulations like classic neg and classic chrome. But yeah, I do want to start using acros a little bit more. So thanks for the comment. Okay, so I think we'll stop there for today. Sorry if I didn't get to your comments. I would love to go through all of them, but you know, I've just gotten so many, which is amazing. Like, I never thought that I would get so much feedback on the videos. So thank you for giving me all those comments, and I'm sorry that I can't respond to them all here on this video. I do hope that we can continue to make these sort of response videos to the comments as a series. So please continue to comment on the videos. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I do value each and every one of them, because everything you have to say, like, it helps me, it provides value for me, it's encouraging, it's so much, and I'm so grateful that you take the time to do that, and thank you. Thank you. That's all I can say is thanks for taking the time to do that. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found something valuable in it. If you have further questions about the topics that we covered, leave your question down below. And as always, like, let me know what you guys want to see here on the channel. I'm happy to make videos that you want to see, content that you're curious about. Okay, I've rambled for long enough on this video, so thank you again for watching. I really, really, really appreciate all of you and all of your comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Love is free, coming alive.